So just how long should Christians date before getting married? I'm going to say... Hello, I'm Delphine. Today's juicy because we're going to be talking about how long we should be dating for before actually getting married, and how Christian dating should look different from modern dating. So according to secular psychology, it takes around 3 to 6 months to be able to really figure out your feelings for someone, because this is the time it takes to move past those initial lustful attraction or the kind of physical, I fancy you so much, and get to the bottom of whether your feelings are long-lasting or if they're just going to fade. And this makes sense to me because in Catholicism, priests always ask for 6 months notice from engagement to marriage. So I think that period of 6 months is really this time of discernment and figuring out each other and your values. So when it comes to Christian dating, we are meant to date differently to the modern secular world. So we're not trying to waste time. This is meant to be very intentional. If you're interested in learning more about intentional dating and the whole process, please check out my video on courtship. While other couples might start the dating process trying to be a muted version of themselves, not to bring up any politically incorrect topics or not to really get to the deep stuff, I would say that Christians ought to. We ought to spend the first few dates really talking to each other about our values, our faith life, our standards, our expectations, to really feel the other one out, to see if this could be a potential fit for, your spouse, for your husband or wife. Because ultimately dating is, for the lack of a better term, like auditioning someone to see if they could make a wonderful partner to you and, God willing, a good parent to your future children. So in this period of auditioning, you should be talking about the big stuff, your approaches to education, healthcare, faith, family, like how are your families going to interact when you guys are married? What are your expectations from a wife or a husband in terms of the household, in terms of work, in terms of relationship styles, love languages? These are all really good things to be able to bring up early on so that you can learn about the other person and see if you guys might be the ones to go the distance. Ultimately, our mission on this earth is not to get married, is not to, have this career or that career or to have children. Our ultimate mission is to get to heaven. And with that in mind, marriage can be a really beautiful, sanctifying way of doing that, because this is going to be someone who's going to stretch you, who's going to challenge you, who's going to hurt you and disappoint you, but also help you grow and hopefully hold your hand all the way to heaven. So how long does it take to figure out if that person is going to do these things? I would argue against the modern trend of these mini marriages that tend to be years and years and years, especially in the secular world where people live together before marriage and they have sex before marriage, because really you're doing all these intimate things without the graces from God that He gives you when you get married, because marriage is a sacrament. God gives you these amazing supernatural graces to be able to really form that union and grow it and continue to move forward. When you think of relationships as a decision, as a choice, you are choosing to love that person today, tomorrow, and forever. I don't really see the point of waiting years and years and years. Like, if you've made that decision, you've had time to discern, you've talked about the big stuff, you have figured out your life and how you can move forward, I really don't think you should waste time. Like, why wouldn't you want all these graces that God's going to give you to help you to move forward and carry out your marriage in holiness? Oftentimes people wait a while to get engaged or married because of financial situations or various other lifestyle things. So it might be that you're studying and you want to wait until you have graduated or something like that. And although these are valid arguments, I would just play the other side and say that really you should only be dating when you're very intentional about getting married. I've talked about this before when defining courtship and just being in a position really of receptivity of another person so that you're ready to take that extra step with them. The whole thing about courtship is that you are spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and financially ready for marriage, so that when you enter into a courtship, which is what I would prefer to do other than dating, you're really walking in saying, I am ready to be a wife or a husband, and I'm just waiting for God to deliver me that person, so that I can actually walk into this role. So you know me, I love a Bible verse. So Proverbs 24:27 says, prepare your work outside, get everything ready for yourself in the field, and after that build your house. And I love that, because I think it's saying, make sure that you are ready before going out there into the field and trying to find your person. The beginning of any relationship is when you're really building trust. And sometimes that honeymoon period can be one that isn't enveloped in reality or in sustainability, because you can't sustainably always impress the other person. So you definitely need to have time to be able to see that person in different lights, in different seasons, see them through good or bad, see how they are under pressure, see how they are when they're very happy, see how they are when they're very sad. I think being able to live out these things with people is really wonderful, to be able to see how you can support them and how they're able to be emotionally resilient. And then once you've really seen those things, I think it's a good idea to really choose to take on all the other seasons that you haven't yet seen with this person. Because if you wait to see every single circumstance that this person may come into contact with, you're going to be waiting a very long time, and you might end up dating this person for like 24 years. So I think there's also an element of a leap of faith. You know that you love this person, you are choosing to love this person, you have seen them, you trust their emotional, spiritual, mental resilience, and the rest will come, because a lot of things that life will throw at you are going to come later in life. It might be through children, through ill parents, through job situations, economic crises. All these things probably going to come your way, but you're not going to be able to experience them all the time. So while we are auditioning this person in a way, and I hate that term, you can't spend your life auditioning this person, because after a while you're just going to have to go and play the part. So for me, I would say it's good to not fall into the trap of just dating and prolonging it, because then you can fall into a pattern of comfort where it's just really nice to have this person in your life, and you know they're your best friend and you do things together and all these things, but you can't ever take it, you know, to the next step, because you're not entering into that marriage and that partnership. So for me, I don't know if this is controversial, and please leave a comment if you would like, because I'm so interested to hear your views on this. I would say when you have, you know, been friends with someone and you've entered a very intentional part of courtship, I will say it again, but dating, whatever term you want to use, I would say really like that 6-month period there is when you should be thinking about engagement. And then I think engagement period should be less about discerning and more about planning the actual wedding. And I think it's important to also realize that it is the marriage that matters, not the wedding. So yes, I know it'd be really nice to save for 5 years so you can have a huge wedding, a huge blowout wedding, but really why delay the marriage and all the gifts that God's going to give you through the support of your friends and family, through that intimacy that you're going to be able to experience with your partner in the marital bed, you know, having sex together and being able to create new life and procreate. And all the graces that God is just going to send your way when you are married. So I love the point that like the marriage matters more over the wedding. Of course, the wedding is really lovely, so do plan that well. And I do think it's nice to think of that engagement period more as the planning of the wedding and the kind of entering this new life with someone. You know, you're going to move in together, you're going to be together, you're going to be able to sleep over together and not have to say goodbye after every single date. And ultimately, that is a choice. That is a very, very happy and positive choice. And you're going to have to make that choice every single day to love that person, to be loyal to that person, be committed and devoted, and hopefully see them all the way to heaven. So yeah, so I really think that initial 6 months should be when you're really talking about the heavy stuff, so that you know that you'll be able to face it together later. So I'm going to say 6 months to a year. That is how long it should be before marriage. Because I personally feel, and maybe this is an age thing as well, maybe it's different if you are younger, but again, I really believe the best way to protect your heart and to really respect God's design for dating and love is to only start dating when you are ready for marriage. And in that case, I really don't think it should take you too long. There are lots of statistics that say that people who live together before getting married, they're more likely to be divorced. And those are secular statistics. And that's because you build up these habits and you already enter marriage with these kind of annoyances and resentments and little things. While really marriage should be an adventure together and something that you're so excited to do. So why delay? We have to ask ourselves, does it really take 2 years, 7 years, 10 years for us to know if this is the person we want to spend our lives with, that we want to raise a family with? I think this worldly way of being non-committal and keeping your options open is quite dangerous because we don't ever fully trust in God and take that, that leap of faith and really not just dipping our toe in the sea, but fully jumping in. Because I think that's what God calls us to do a lot of the time. Dating with intention is very honourable because you're really looking at this person and seeing their virtues and what they could bring to your life, what you guys could bring to each other's lives and build together. And yet people grow, people change, but it's so much better to grow and change together than to do that apart, or to do it when there's always this get out free card. That attitude just makes relationships very transactional and very throwaway. The whole point is we are all sinners, we're all fallen, we're all imperfect, but truly this love, willing the good of the other, is that I'm going to love you through that sin, through that imperfection, and we're going to see it through. We're going to see it through because this, guys, this is not our home. This is earth. We are pilgrims. We are pilgrims until we get to heaven. So really, ultimately, we're trying to find the person who's going to stick it through with us. And I think having that level of commitment, of course, after very serious discernment, and that is why I've talked about having these serious conversations, not mincing your words, not sugarcoating, not just trying to impress someone, but really being wholeheartedly yourself, is so important from day one, because then you'll be able to really figure out if this person is the one for you. And of course, pray on it. But please let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear the duration that you guys think is appropriate, really. And if you've liked this video, please subscribe to the Salt YouTube channel and leave me a comment and say hello. Thank you so much for listening and sign up.